Hello, everybody. I am a new YouTuber. This is my first video. I have 0 subscribers, completely brand new. And I thought it was about time for me to share my experiences as a Jehovah's Witness and the reasons why I left and, just kind of talk about things. I figured it'd be kind of therapeutic for me. I've watched countless videos on YouTube from former Jehovah's Witnesses that have been extremely helpful for me, things that I could relate to. And hopefully I can kind of pass that along to, other ones who may watch this video. Maybe I could help some of those people. I've been gone now from the organization for about 6 years. So anything that's happened since then, any doctrinal changes or anything, I'm really not familiar with them. Um, but I could definitely, share my story and hopefully it can help some of you all. A little bit about myself. I am 28 years old. I was born and raised in San Diego, California. And I was raised around the truth. My mother and I grew, we kind of went to the conventions every other year. So shout out to any former San Diego witnesses. I'm sure you remember the days of Qualcomm Stadium, district conventions, and the assemblies in Escondido. And, I have memories of all that stuff. Um, anyway, so yeah, we went to the conventions every now and then, meetings, very rarely meetings, probably once every few years, We went to the memorial every year. Besides that, I pretty much grew up in the quote unquote world, as they put it. And I'm thankful for that. That came in handy later on when I decided to fade from the organization. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. Um, but basically, when I was 16, we moved from California to Phoenix, Arizona, and that's where I'm at currently. Um, and that's really when me and my mom took off, and started really pursuing the organization. She had been around it, since the early 70s. She was around during the 1975 craze when the end of the world was supposed to come. And, you know, she, um, she just lived her life and, did her own thing. And as a result, her kids didn't really grow up in the organization. And, that ended up being a good thing for me. Um, but anyway, 16, I started really studying, taking things seriously. We started going to the meetings, every meeting. Um, when I graduated high school, I started regular pioneering at age 18. And then at age 19, I was appointed a ministerial servant, and I was still regular pioneering for another year. And I was super zealous. I gave public talks in my congregation. I was invited to give public talks in other congregations. I was in the 2009 drama. I was interviewed, as an example for young people, and I had other parts on the convention and things like that. So I was super super active in the organization. I was basically what you call a company man. I just anything the brothers wanted, anything that needed to be done, I was doing it. Impromptu talks, whatever. I was used, thoroughly in the congregation, and basically I started having doubts, like most people. Most people even today that's still in the organization probably have doubts. It's just a matter of, are you going to do something about it, or are you going to push it in the back of your head? And I did the latter for a while. I kind of just ignored those things, pushed them to the back of my head. There were several reasons why I left. Um, One of the reasons kind of had to do with my appointment, oddly enough. Um, Most people kind of view being appointed as a ministerial servant or an elder as a blessing, which I viewed it that way at the time. But also it contributed to me leaving. Um, Basically what happened, I was talking to a young lady, long distance, a young sister that I had grown up with in San Diego. And I'd already had plans to go visit her. These plans happened to coincide with when the circuit overseer visit was happening. For those of you that don't know, circuit overseer visit lasts about a week. He basically, gives talks, and he's out in the ministry every day and working with pioneers and, um, you know, just super active in your particular congregation until he moves on to the next one. Well, I was always told when a brother's appointed that it's done by Holy Spirit. People always tell me, Jehovah wants you to be a servant, you will be a servant. And I came to realize that's not necessarily true. It's really men that appoint you. And that kind of stumbled me. This particular circuit overseer, he was upset that I missed part of his visit to go visit, my girlfriend out of state, even though I already had plans. And, I basically took it as he was butthurt that I missed some of his visit, and he decided I wasn't ready to be a servant. And even though the other elders disagreed. And I really began to doubt things and say, well, obviously it's up to men. Men decide whether or not you serve, not Jehovah. And that was kind of like the beginning of my decline out of the organization. That's when I started researching things, certain things I noticed on my own, just the blood doctrine, before you couldn't take any blood, you couldn't take whole blood. And then they changed it. You could take partial, blood cells or whatever. And that was an issue for me because I'm like, well, what about all the people that died as a result of not taking any parts of blood? What happened to those people? I mean, is it just, oops, my bad? I mean, is that what those people get from the governing body? That's an issue for me. Also, I didn't know that there were multiple times that Armageddon was predicted to have come. I thought it was just 1975. But no, it was 1914, 1925, and 1975 that the end was supposed to come. And I started realizing these things and started thinking, well, does that make witnesses false prophets? If the end was supposed to come 3 different times and it didn't come, then who's at fault? I mean, God doesn't make mistakes, right? So it's obviously men that's running the show. And, these are kind of things that I noticed, also the generation teaching of 1995. I was too young, to obviously remember that. I was like, 6, 7 years old. But an elder actually brought it to my attention. He just brought it up in casual conversation. And I remembered, I took note of it and I started researching. And I realized that was an issue, basically the Watchtower changed its stance on the generation teaching in order to save face and to save themselves the embarrassment of being a false prophet. Again, 2007, I was old enough for that one. And, the original teaching regarding the anointed ones was that all anointed ones were chosen prior to 1935. But then 2007, it changed to, there's no specific date. There could be anointed people after 1935. And so, it kind of it creates this never-ending cycle of false prophecies. And that sense of urgency for Armageddon, which is all Jehovah's Witnesses look forward to, that sense of urgency is now gone. And, the end of the world could be tomorrow or it could be in 300 years. I mean, I just feel like the Watchtower was just playing with these people, just playing with us. And I didn't feel like it was right. And there's zero accountability. I mean, I remember there was an article, they even blamed us for speculating. We shouldn't be speculating. No one knows the day or the hour, but yet they're the ones promoting that the end of the world is coming. It was a slap in the face. And there was many other reasons too. I might make another video about that. But basically, those were some of the main reasons why I started, questioning the organization. I realized that it was just all man-made and that it was time for me to go. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't raised in the organization, so that came in handy because when I left, I kind of could blend right in again. I still had, my friends that I went to high school with and elementary school with back in the day. And so I just got back in touch with them. Bam, I had friends. I'm going to go down to San Diego and visit them. I did little things that I'd always wanted to do. Got my ears pierced. You can see I got a little peach fuzz on my face, a little beard going on. I got plenty of tattoos, and so I'm happy now. I'm free, and I'm able to express myself how I want to, be able to, fulfill my dreams and just kind of, you know, do me and do what I want to do. And, it's a good feeling to not be trapped by such a controlling organization. Um, there's just so many things. I mean, some congregations have rules that brothers can't give talks if they are not wearing a white shirt. You can't wear black and white Stacey Adams. They got to be all black. Dress shoes. There's just so many just man-made rules. You can't have a beard even though you grow one naturally. You can't have a soul patch. Because that's not spiritual. There's just so many things that are just completely man-made rules and that go beyond the things written. And I feel like that's a major issue. Um, and I feel like it's time to start questioning the organization. I'm not here to bash the organization. For anyone who's looking to leave, I encourage you to do your own research. Don't just take the word of someone else, because then you might end up being resentful. I think you just need to do your research, come to your own conclusion. And at first, it's difficult to kind of come to terms with the fact that you've been lied to. But once you kind of, it's a big pill to swallow. But once you swallow that pill, um, you'll be okay. That sense of freedom you have um, is amazing. And the downside of it obviously is that you're going to lose your friends, so-called friends. You're gonna lose your family. My mother hasn't spoken to me now in about 4 years. She told me she couldn't talk to me anymore. She missed a lot of important things in my life. But that's just the way it is. I got to be strong and keep my head up. And it sucks, especially when I see other people that still have their family in their life, their mother in their life. But you know, in my heart, this is the right decision for me. And so I got to keep pushing. And for any of you guys that are going through that, or debating on whether or not you should lose family, I definitely feel you. Um, Again, you just got to be strong, keep your head up, and as long as you made the decision to leave on your own, you will be okay because you know deep down that this is something you want to do. And you know, again, you'll be okay. You just got to keep your head up, stay strong, just continue research. I've been gone now for 6, 7 years, and I still research the organization. Not so much anything new that's going on. I don't follow that, but you know, I still research old Watchtower articles, and I listen to people's stories and just to try to get a sense for what they went through, and a lot of those things I can relate to, and it feels good to know that you're not the only one out there that is going through you know this. I mean, it could be a pretty traumatic experience. Some people have it better than others, but for the most part, it's a rough experience. And you know, that's basically where I'm coming from. It's basically the reasons why I left. How I faded was I basically just moved across town and just ignored phone calls. I mean, that's basically how I did it. Service overseers were reaching out to me, asking me for my new congregation name so they can send my new card over and stuff. And, you know, I published a card and I just ignored the calls. And, I tried to go to a meeting because, as a witness, you're so used to getting that like weekly spiritual food, I guess. And so I tried going to a meeting, but it was just so discouraging and negative. I walked out after the public talk. I mean, I just couldn't take it no more. It's just so much talk about death and being destroyed, and just so much negativity. There's just no love in the organization like they preach to you that there is. There really isn't much love, and it's just I don't know. I just couldn't take it no more. I just realized this isn't for me. I got to be strong and live my life. So, um, if anyone is looking to fade, I feel like, in my opinion, that's the best way to go. Other people have other ways they want to do it. Some people want to go out with a bang and they want to dissociate themselves, or some people, get sucked into a judicial committee and um, explaining to these men why they sinned and all that. I don't feel like that's necessary. Um, I don't feel like we need to explain to men why we sin. Like I said, Apostle Paul, 1 Corinthians 4:3, he mentions that um, he doesn't care whether he's judged by a human court because um, his judge is God. And that's exactly how I feel. I don't feel like I need to express myself to men. So to this day, I'm still technically baptized. I never was disassociated. I never was disfellowship. I just faded, and you know, I just stopped going. Um, and it seems like that's a pretty common tactic these days with former Jehovah's Witnesses that kind of just fade. And I feel like it's a good thing. If you're gonna do it, I feel like that's the best way, in my opinion. And if anyone's looking out for advice on how to do it or how I did it, in further detail, feel free to hit me up, reach out to me. I'm always down with talking to people and sharing my experiences. And again, this is my first video, so I would appreciate any type of feedback or criticism or any love and anything that you guys want to say. I'll definitely appreciate it. And if I get good responses, I might go ahead and make another video. Um, but yeah, I feel good. It's a therapeutic for me to kind of talk about my experiences, and I hope I was able to help some of you all that might watch this video. So anyway, that's it for today. Be blessed.